There were so many things of the ROE and that show that made absolutely no sense. And the guy that invented that pod formation should be executed. The idea of putting 16 airplanes together and then slowly trolling across at 18,000 feet with all kinds of stuff shooting at you, MiGs coming through, missiles blowing through the formation, and you had to sit there. But I remember trying to change the tactics. I was the captain, and the colonel said, "You're crazy. These tactics are written in blood and we're not changing them." So we go in right away, MiG-21s come out of the Chinese buffer zone, nail one of the F4s, blow into our formation, nail one of the CBU carriers, the other guys dump CBUs, the Weasel's under the flight, he gets hit by a CBU and kills the guy in the back seat. Only 2 of us made it to the target, and it was the new wing commander, the other 2 had been shot down. And I don't know what happened to him on the mission, but a week later he died of a heart attack. So it's just a bad idea, but the idea that you got a spot you can't go into, then you got targets you can't hit even though you see guys coming up to get you, and the whole thing was a mess. But I guess the thing that's the scariest, it was one of those stupid missions. We're passing Guillaume Airfield going to the on-base storage area, all the way across the Delta. And the missiles are just, there must have been a dozen in here. They're just blowing through the formation right and left. I'm number 4 in the lead flight, so I'm stacked high, and number 2 on the second flight is next to me, and he kept moving in, and I'm watching him. But I'm also looking down at the ground, and there's a gun sight. It looked like a ring of fire. Every time that thing fired, there was a big ring of fire on the ground, and then there'd be a delay, and then all explosions in the formation. I thought, I'm getting that guy on the way out. So about that time, I'm watching this missile come off at 10 o'clock, and I think, oh, it looks like me. So I pushed over. I went down maybe 1,000 feet, and it didn't change, so I'm pulled back into formation, and it's still coming. But as it went under, I rolled, and it went under me, and when I rolled back, it hit the guy next to me. And it was an enormous fireball, bigger than the airplane. I thought, wow, I didn't know it'd be that big. But pretty soon the airplane comes out, still looking like a 105. The wings are still on it. But pretty soon the nose dropped and he was gone. And it was an interesting, he was one of the, there were a few guys like this that knew they were gonna die, just scared to death, but they went. They gritted their teeth, they stepped to that airplane, and this guy was one, he knew he was gonna die, and that was the day he died. So anyhow, for that mission, I always used a 60-degree dive, and I'd release a Mach 1 in 6,000 feet, and then full backstick. And I figured dropping at Mach 1, the bombs would be subsonic by the time they got to the ground. The guys said they might not go off, you hit them supersonic, so I didn't know. So I'm full backstick, and I could see the wings curl way up on the airplane. And I say, well, I'm sure it wasn't all of it, as hard as I could pull. And then a couple of jinks, score the bombs. Now I lowered the nose and lit the wick, and I'm at 1.26. And I'm heading for Guillaume Airfield because I know what I want to do. I got the gun armed, sights all set, and it was on the east side of Guillaume, so I rolled over, pulled in, max power. I must have been 1.2, 1.3, and I'm going to empty the gun. Now I know they said don't fire over 600, but I figured if I fired them all, what could happen? So I'm laying on the trigger, and it just, imagine this, full power, burner going, everything's roaring, the gun's barking out 100 rounds a second, and suddenly there is this absolutely enormous explosion. All the panel lights up, the nose pitches way up and hard left, and that was probably just me jerking on the stick. But unfortunately, this is when I got on the radio and said, I'm hit, and I should have said a thing. Because now I'm coming around, I'm over Hanoi thinking I got a crippled bird, but the air turbine motor restarts. Oh, wow. So the generator restarts. Pretty soon, everything's back on. I'm back in burner, lowered the nose, kicked it up to Mach 1, I'm heading out. And I get on the tanker and the other guys say, what are you doing here? And I said, I don't want to talk about it.